Hey, folks, welcome back to Soaring Profits. As always, it's your host, Patrick, and
James.
And today, folks, we've got an interesting concept that we've got to talk about because we had basically a stock market fall like we haven't seen. And if you've been following some of our shorts we've been talking about throughout the days when I'm cruising around between stuff throughout the day, I've been talking about a concept what's called capitulation. And capitulation in the market and what we're seeing right now is when people are going, okay, I'm done, I'm out, I can't do this anymore, I can't take the pain. And today was one of those days. We saw some pretty massive market capitulation, both on retail and as well with some of the big guys, whether the hedge funds are involved at that. So what does this mean? How does it affect you? Well, let's jump into the charts here and we'll take a look, right? So as we jump into this here, this is the Nasdaq 100. And we've got a lot of fancy stuff going on here, but this here is the price action over the last little while. And as you can see down here, this is our one-day movement, okay? This one-day movement here is showing us down 5.06%, okay? What does that mean? Well, as you can see here, we've been trading through this channel from the highs, bouncing off when we do our TA, again, technical analysis. We put this line here at the top, we hit it where it's found a resistance, and we can chart that out. We do the same thing on the bottom. Where have we found support? It bounced off there, rose up, bounced off there, rose up. This is what we call a downward trend, right? Because it's channeling downward. However, what we're doing is we're finding increasingly less and less support when we get down to these lows, okay? So what these are here, these scribbles, these are my scribbles. So I scribbled these back weeks ago. Well, actually back in April, March and April. And this, I drew out a pattern which is called a head and shoulders. As you can see, head and shoulder pattern, width dependent on neckline. So when we first started here, we thought shoulder, head, shoulder, and the movement is usually a flush down, okay? As you can see, this is a little orange thing. And what we did is we saw this flush down. So we measure from here, from the head, right? The head to the neckline, and that's usually the movement down. Well, when we chart that out, well, we see that we picked this up. See how we got some support? It came down and it hit that, it bounced. It came down and it bounced. We had some, this is called consolidation. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days where we had this movement. Well, the bigger problem is that what if this wasn't the shoulder and this wasn't the shoulder? What if these were the shoulder and these were the shoulder, okay? So now what we actually end up doing is we end up extending this line. So let's put our line here because this now becomes the new neckline, okay? And then we extend this down to around here, say, okay? So what we're looking at, here we are today. This is what last week's low was. And the approximate price of support for the NASDAQ, we could and should be seeing at around this, let's call it 11,000 range. Today, we're at 11,928. These are just probabilities, right? But what we're seeing is this downward trending momentum, okay? So let's get rid of this and we'll take a look at some of our favorite stocks and see what's going on. So we've come down here, we've bounced off this support. It's odd how this is there, right? I can continue this coming down. This was another line that I figured it would come off of. That ironically is the neckline from shoulder to shoulder, just on a downward trending channel that shows us where we are in a day, because movements don't happen all in one day, right? They happen in up and down movements, okay? So what I figure we're going to do, and I've done some rough drawings here to show where I figure we're going to come, is that we're going to garner some support. We're going to get a bit of a run back up, and then we're going to see our major flush, which I imagine will come back down into this area. Now, all of this is dependent on the economy, right? The NASDAQ is where all your big movers and shakers are. This is where Tesla, this is where Ford, these are the car companies, right? But also a lot of your Netflix, your Facebook, your Amazon, these big tech companies that are changing the world trade on the NASDAQ, right? Let's look at some of these companies. Let's take a quick gander over here and pick a couple of these. When we go over here, and again, this is tradingview.com. I highly recommend anybody that's interested in trading, open yourself an account and check it out. So facebook.com, when we go to Facebook, what do we see again? Okay. So Facebook is down 5.1% today. And this is the trend. Massive flush down and just having trouble finding support here. So what we're finding here is meta platforms, again, on the Nasdaq, Facebook. We saw here in one day, we saw a flush downward of 25%. Okay. This is a $270, well, let's call it a $300 stock at the time. Flushing 25% is insane. Well, but what changed at Facebook? Do you guys not use Facebook anymore? Right? You do and you don't. I bet you're on TikTok more. I bet you're on Instagram. Instagram is a Facebook product, but I bet you're on these other things. And advertisers are seeing that. They're saying that I'm going to go to TikTok and I'm going to put my money in TikTok. Well, let's go to some of the new ones that are out there today. We had Walmart and Target do earnings over the last little while here, and they got hammered, absolutely hammered. So let's take a look here. Let's bring up Walmart. Okay. What's that look like, folks? Tell me you're not in a recession. This is the last 2 days. I believe I started telling you that we were in recession a few weeks ago, right? Well, when we take a look at this and you see this top to bottom movement, okay, top to bottom movement of about 25% in about a week and a half, and it's gone. If you put your money in Walmart, that's a pretty safe thing, isn't it? Well, unless you're in a recession, well, why did this fall apart? Well, the reason it fell apart is that their earnings came out and they're finding out that their per cart ticket sale price is up, but the number of items going out the door is way down. And what that means is that inflation is killing their business. You're going in and you're buying bread and apples and snacks for the kids going off to school, but you're not buying an Xbox and you're not buying the $300, 60-inch TV anymore. You don't have any money. That's what a recession is, folks. This is them telling you you're screwed. You're going into a recession, so plan accordingly. So now you got Walmart. Okay, let's take a look at our next one. The next part was Target. All of these are just bloodbaths. Look at how red that charting is. All of it is bloodbath. Bitcoin. We'll go to Bitcoin here in a minute, but let's do Target here for a second, and then we'll come back.
Well, you have a serious point. Like my portfolio itself, which you have guided me in a lot of ways, is bleeding immensely. I'm dropping like there is no bottom. But you warned me of that. You actually told me where my stocks were going to hit the actual numbers,
Right.
And
Well, and we'll do Palantir
unfortunately,
in a second because I want to touch
you
base on
hit every
Palantir.
target.
Right.
You hit every target, but it bounced up a little bit. But I think it took a beating again today. But what I implore you guys to do out there, because I normally I stop and I'm like, okay, can you explain what that is? Can you explain what this is? But I feel it slows them down, and it doesn't allow them to have that good flow of information. So what we did is last week, I believe, and it's on there right now. It's basically Pat goes over how to read a stock, and he goes over, we talk about, and I dumb it down and ask him questions like remedial learning, and we teach you what he's talking about here. So if you're having trouble following right now, I get it. I used to have extreme trouble following, but if you go back, you watch that video, I believe it's called how Pat explains how to read a stock. You go back there and you watch our discussion, you'll definitely understand what he's talking about here, and you'll get more out of it. And I'm telling you right now that right now is probably the most appropriate time to watch this man here talk, because we are, everything he's showing me, we're deep in a recession. When I go to Walmart, we're in a recession. He's absolutely right. There's no way in hell I'm going out to buy the latest computer or the latest Xbox. No, I'm going to buy food. I'm going to buy gas just to drive for a week. It's costing me an immense amount of money.
Yeah.
Are you
No,
back?
it's gone crazy. It's gone crazy. We're $2 a liter. We'll do gas here in a second, but Target, Walmart, these are all what are called consumer discretionary stocks. So if the consumer doesn't have money, they don't go out and spend it. If Walmart doesn't sell you the extra item at the cash, their stock crumbles. Well, folks, look at this candle. It's fallen 30 38% in a week and a half. 38%. Walmart and Target, they are preparing for recession. This is why today this is a bloodbath over here, right? And until you guys start to realize that this is coming and it's going to get ugly and you got to prepare, don't be going on vacation. Don't be doing all the fancy stuff. Get stuff together. And yes, you got to live a little, and yes, you got to have some fun, but you got to get cash. You got to figure out how to limit your expenses so that you can rally afterwards. There are going to be fantastic buying opportunities when this is all said and done. Now let's take a look at our old buddy Palantir, right? And I love this company in the long term. I hate it right now. It is a mule and it should be taken out back and shot.
It's funny because so I started getting into the market, and Palantir was the first company that I got interested into. A lot of it was Pat, a lot of it was the research that I did, and it's a very exciting company. And Pat said to me, it's going to skyrocket and then it's going to drop. This is a long-term race. So if you're not willing to jump in, hold on tight, be a diamond handler, I believe it's called.
Diamond hands.
Diamond hands.
Don't be a paper hander.
Don't be a paper hander. You have to be a diamond hander. He's like, hold on. In 5 years from now, that's the stock to watch. And so far, everything I'm watching here has been very accurate.
Well, so Palantir is an AI play, so artificial intelligence, and they take data, they analyze it, and they basically, I would argue, single-handedly was able to finesse the movement of vaccines around the world. Okay, so this is the stock action of Palantir, right? So James and I, when we first bought it, I was in about the nine and change range when I first bought. I think you were about 10 and a quarter, 10 and a half by the time I finally talked you into doing it.
Yep, around there.
Right. So we went from here all the way up. I'm trying to think. I didn't catch the high because I'm not a sociopath, but I think I got out at about 30 and change.
I think so.
Right. Yeah. So I was in and around here on this dip. I rode it all the way up to 45 and it came back down and I got in and out in and around here. Okay. Mm-hmm. I still have been buying all the way through this process. Little dips, I'll buy. Okay. Really what I look for is opportunities when this stock gets above, this is called the 50, and then we're going to pick up here the 200-day moving average. So when this stock rallies, hits its bottom, and comes above this line right here, 50-day moving average, that's when I'll buy. I'll buy and I'll let it run up, and I can either sell. This is a long-term hold. So this would be swing trading, folks. If you sell here when we get up into this area of overbought and oversold, so this is the overbought, so therefore we're going to see a price deviation, so we're going to see it coming down. So it's touched this area. This is when you get out. Then you wait for it to come back down. Does it get back into the oversold? Well, look at that. Damn dirty ape, right? It picks up oversold again. So you pick that up again there. What happened? It's fallen underneath that line. Well, when it comes back up over it, this is where you buy. Okay. And what do? You run it back up until it hits this oversold. Look down here at the bottom, folks. What do we got? Oversold. This is not rocket science. It just means you got to do it. You got to get up and you got to make those moves. You can't time it perfectly, but what we're doing here with technical analysis, you can break it down to a bit of a science, and the science makes the emotion go away. And that's why James and I can sleep at night. This here is the lowest Palantir has been since it first came out. And I said to James here 3 months ago, I said to him, there's a very good chance that Palantir rushes down into the 6s. How did I come up with that? I built the channel. Boom, 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 boom. This is the channel, right? I have a top. I have resistance. This is the bottom. I have support. So I chart that out, right? This is the resistance, okay? Well, this is all in the channel. Palantir, theoretically, could go down to $3. It could half again. I don't think it will. I think it's going to last through this, but it's got to break through this this resistance at the top. So the next price action move for Palantir is about 890. Let's call it 870 here. It's got to break through there, and that will begin this. This is the movement upwards, okay? So where I'm predicting is Palantir is going to bounce and flow up through this channel, breaking out of that new channel, causing an upwards channel now, which will have new supports and resistances. This is dependent on the world economy. This isn't going to do anything until the world gets its shit together and says, you know what? We're going to take the foot off the throat of all of these tech growth companies, the Nasdaq. Today, at minus almost 6% on the Nasdaq, Palantir did very little. It didn't have a huge loss, didn't have a huge gain. It was just there. That's positive. So now, when the market, I would predict tomorrow, this will be Thursday of this week, I would predict that Palantir has a bit of a rally as money starts to come back into the market. Why? Holy crap, was it ever oversold, right? That's why this all happened. The oversold territory on this charting is off the charts, literally off the charts, okay? So what you're going to see is you're going to see this. This might consolidate in this movement for a long time, likely until you get back into that 1450, and then you're going to have another decision. Is it going to go down or does it break up? I think by April, let's call it June, I could see Palantir, June of 2023, a year from now, I could see Palantir back up at $32, $33 a share. That's my price prediction based on technical analysis.
I would love that.
Well, but what does that do for you? If you're buying now at 6, 7, and 8, right? That now you're looking at a 5 or 6 times multiple in a year and a half. Is Palantir a stock for you? Yeah. Yeah, Palantir is something you can play with. Another one. Let's do another really quick one here. Let's take a look at oil prices because we did the oil prices and then we'll see how we've turned out so far.
Ooh, yeah, right I think we should do oil prices, and then I think that's enough technical media for today.
Right. So again, we have what's called a bull flag. Okay, this becomes a pennant, right? And then we had a breakup. What did we have? We had this breakup to the upside. This was my prediction, right? When we measure this from the top to the bottom, okay, I measured this out. Okay, what did we do? I said at the time, there's either going to be a breakdown or a breakup. With all of the geopolitical stuff going on in the world right now, do I think that oil prices are going to flush down to, do I think that the geopolitical pricing right now, that pricing is going to go down to $69 a barrel? I don't think so, baby. We're at war. So what we're going to do is we're going to see a zigzag tick-tocking up and down, up and down, up and down, back up to that 130 range. So I'm going to make a prediction that by, let's say, July, middle to end of July, that you are going to have a $130 barrel of oil again. Why? Because the technicals are telling me so. There needs to be an end of war. There needs to be something change here to not have this. We had a gas discussion the other day. What is that going to do at the pump? There is no incentive from our politicians to get oil prices down right now. They want to change behavior. They want you driving an electric vehicle. This is their opportunity to do it. I think that you are going to see easily $130+ a barrel oil by July. Good luck on your summer. I just bought a boat. I have to put fuel in it.
Crazy. And a truck to pull said boat.
And a truck, yeah. Well, folks, I think that's enough for tonight. Again, this is something that you guys can learn very easily. Leave your comments in the section here and ask some questions. This stuff here will literally change your life. If you know how to do this stuff, it's huge. It allows you to start thinking a little bit broader in regards to what's happening in the world. And you learned it here first, folks. So like, subscribe, share, send it to somebody who's a nerd and enjoys this sort of thing. Or just enjoys making money. Because I'm telling you right now, if you know how to do this stuff, you can make a shit ton of money. So, as always, folks, Patrick with Soaring Profits with my buddy
James, who is cameraman and tech guy today.
Absolutely. And like always, let's try to make some money together, folks. You guys have a great day. We'll see you again soon.
Bye.
Hey, folks. Thanks again for joining us at Soaring Profits. Patrick and James, please like, subscribe, and share. And
follow us on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and of course, Facebook. And let's start a dinner table discussion right on this page right here. Let's start talking about the topics that we're talking about today.
Thanks again, folks. Appreciate it.